Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So I'm redoing this video because there were problems with the audio in the original video. So please bear with me. So this story comes out of Oakland, California. You had these two African American sisters by the name of Nia Wilson and Latifah Wilson. They were on the BART train system and they proceeded to get off at their exit. Their exit was the Oakland MacArthur BART train station. So they got off at that location. And as they got off, this white man proceeded to stab them in the throat. This white man killed Nia Wilson, an 18-year-old black woman, a beautiful black woman. Her life is snuffed out because of this monster, this damn devil proceeded to kill her. And he slashed her sister in the throat as well. Her sister is recovering from her injuries. And the killer, and his name is Lee Cowell, he's been arrested and he's been charged with the murder of Nia Wilson. And he was arrested, like, I think it was the next day he was arrested. He was not arrested on the scene, despite the fact that you had BART security at that particular train station, from what I understand. So I want to take some time to share my thoughts about this situation. The first thing that I thought about when I heard about this story is, were there any witnesses, and why didn't the witnesses try to apprehend this guy or capture this guy or stop this guy from committing this heinous crime? From what I understand, it happened very fast. Um, they didn't expect it. There was no words exchanged between the women and this white man. He just happened to just slash them real quickly before they had any kind of chance to defend themselves or even know what was going on. Um, but he wasn't apprehended at the scene. Nobody tried to intervene as far as I can tell from the stories, and I just wonder why no one did anything. Maybe there weren't enough people around. Maybe he moved too fast for them to take any action. But that's the first thing I thought about. And I also thought about the failure of the BART security system. I mean, they have cameras, they have security guards. Why didn't those guards immediately arrest this man or immediately stop him from committing this crime? And I think that they bear some responsibility in this situation, for their failure to take appropriate action. Now, the other issue that has been raised about this whole situation is whether or not this was a racially motivated attack, whether or not it was a hate crime, and whether or not this white man by the name of Lee Cowell is a white supremacist. Now, all the articles that I read said that there's no evidence that this man was a member of any white supremacist group. There are no ties between him and white supremacy and, racist ideology, as far as we can tell right now. So it's not certain whether or not he was officially a part of any hate group. And I don't know, like, the extent to which they have explored his social media or if he has much social media, but I'm sure that that's probably something that law enforcement is investigating, and I hope that they thoroughly investigate it so that we can understand the motives behind this attack, because right now we have no idea why this man was motivated to do what he did, to commit this horrific crime against two innocent black women. So we don't know what's going on right now. And, I noticed that a lot of people on social media just went ahead and called this man a white supremacist. And I completely understand, because it just seems odd that he would single out these two black women. Out of all the people he could have targeted, he decided to pick out two black women. And from what I understand and reading the news reports, this man was on the same train as these women. This man basically stalked these women and targeted these women. He tried to kill both of the women. So I understand why people are accusing this man of being a white supremacist. And even if someone is not officially a member of a white supremacist organization, that doesn't mean that they don't harbor hatred towards black people as a group. That doesn't mean that they are not a white supremacist. One doesn't have to use social media to be a white supremacist. One does not have to be a member of a white nationalist or Nazi group or the KKK or some other white supremacist group in order to be a white supremacist. So I understand why brothers and sisters have, concluded that this is probably a white supremacist. I'm going to continue to follow this story until more information is revealed before I take a position on that. But this is a very important thing. It's very important to understand like what motivated him to take this crazy type of action. So I hope that the police are able to find out why this man did what he did. And I hope that this animal is punished to the full extent of the law. I hope that he gets the most harsh sentence possible for committing this crime. Another question that has to be raised is this man's criminal history. He has a history of engaging in criminal activity. And the question is, why was this man free? This is a man who was convicted of a felony, convicted of robbery, but yet he's free. And, he commits this crime, that could have been avoided if he was locked up. So my question is, why was this man free? Now, another issue that has to be raised is this one. His family's trying to say he's mentally ill. They're trying to excuse his conduct, claiming that he has some mental problems. And we see this all the time. When white people commit these types of atrocities, instead of labeling them as terrorists, instead of calling them terrorists, they want to say that they had mental issues. They want to say that they were stressed out. They try to make excuses for these people. They try to rationalize what these animals do. And, if this had been anybody else, if this had been a black man targeting white women, they would have labeled him as some black identity extremist. They would have called him a terrorist. If this had been some Arab who slashed two Jewish women's throats, he would have been called a terrorist immediately. There wouldn't even be a need for any investigation. But because this is a white man, all of the label terrorist is off the table. Because this is a white man, they want to take their time and, be reluctant to call this a hate crime and all that kind of stuff. This happens all the time, man. It's like another example of the double standards that we see in the news media. So before I close, I want to address one last point about this whole incident. Often you hear people say that black men do not care about the plight of black women. They say that the black community mainly just advocates for black male victims of hate crimes or of police brutality. But this case involving Nia Wilson, the case involving Sandra Bland, and all these other cases involving black women go contrary to that narrative, because here on YouTube, you see that many YouTubers are talking about this issue involving Nia Wilson. Many YouTubers, including myself, are demanding justice for this sister. So I think that counters this narrative that somehow black men and the black community in general is not concerned about the plight of black women. So with that, I'll say please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.